Okay, says that we on. All right, Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect. Um, I'm the brother Ainah. I got the elder Yatazak here with me, and we're doing a continuation of the series on Second Samuel. Today we're going into Second Samuel chapter 17. And basically, when you look at the previous chapter, basic overview of it was how David had to flee into uh, he fled out of the city of Jerusalem and was kind of nourished, by a couple people, but it was all very sudden. It was all very quick that he had to actually get up, out of the city because of the son Absalom basically trying to come in and usurp authority over his father's throne. Okay, and there was a couple of council things that he received. Okay, he was taking counsel uh, of this man Ahithophel, which was David's counselor, and ultimately um, Ahithophel told him to go in, unto his father's concubines in front of all Israel, and to basically put his father, to shame and show that, he was against his father. Okay, and the scriptures say that there's no glory in the shame of your father, if we paraphrase it. Okay, but basically in doing this, it showed that you know, Absalom was completely gone off, and that he was not returning back. He wasn't reconcilable, even after all the things that he had done prior to this. So, without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get to the lesson, and Lord willing, is edifying. Let me see if I can find the scripture real quick. It's in. Let me see here. It's in the Apocrypha.
I was saying, then you can also see that the curses are starting to take hold. You know what I'm saying? The dynamic between the father and the son. You know, the Lord told David he was going to punish him. You know what I'm saying? And David knew what it was. So at the end of the day, when you look at how Absalom was acting, when you look at how he was acting, that don't seem like a son of David. But
Right.
it just goes to show you that all your kids not gonna be in the truth. All your kids not gonna be on point like that. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? This is one of several examples. But the thing is, what you want to keep in mind, you always want to stop and think about, okay, what is the Lord doing?
Hmm.
And King David always did that. You know what I'm saying? He understood why he was going through what he was going through, even though it was painful. You know what I'm saying? But he never turned against the Heavenly Father.
Right. That's right. I got that precept as well. This is um this is Sirach chapter 3 and verse 8. It says, um, honor thy father and mother both in word and deed, that a blessing may come upon thee from them. You
You
see?
see that? Now,
Yeah.
when it comes to the curses, that's definitely out.
Yeah.
You see, this is one of the commandments that's being broken. Honor thy father and thy mother.
Hmm.
You got it.
Yep. It says in verse 8, um, it says that a blessing may come upon thee from them. It says, verse 9, for the blessing of the father establisheth the houses of children. And it says, but the curse of the mother rooteth out foundations. It says, glory not in the dishonor of thy father, for thy father's dishonor is no glory unto thee. You see?
Mm,
And that was the incorrect thinking of Absalom. Okay, when it comes to the scriptures, because yeah, okay, mission accomplished. Everybody knows that you're against David, but that that's not anything to glory in because he dishonored his father. Okay, he everybody knew. Okay, this guy Absalom, he's ruthless. It wasn't the same glory that David received when he assumed the throne. Okay,
Right.
Absalom usurped authority, and David, he was given it kind of like just freely. He didn't try to take the crown from King Saul.
I would
Okay.
say predestination played a role. You see, Absalom had to do all that stuff and fall out of favor to one as part of the punishment of David. You know what I'm saying? But
Hmm.
then it was also set up that Solomon was going to be the king that was going to rule after David.
Yep.
So you
Yep.
see in all these moving parts. I would say the Lord, the Lord was moving. The Lord was moving on Absalom while Solomon was growing up.
Hmm. Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
because Solomon was born by this time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He was born. Yep.
Yeah, he was born by this time, right? So while Solomon growing up, getting groomed, and all these different things to be the next king, all his brothers was falling off. You know what I'm saying? You had the one that did what he did with Tamar, and you had Absalom, and you
Hmm.
had another few. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
The Lord was moving all those parts around
Hmm.
for multiple purposes. You
Yep.
got it.
Yep. Um, all right. So let's go ahead and start here in 2 Samuel 17 in verse 1. All right. It says, moreover, Ahithophel said unto Absalom. So this is after uh, Absalom went into David's concubines, his father's concubines. All right, this is the next, counsel that Ahithophel gave to Absalom. It says, moreover, Ahithophel said unto Absalom, let me now choose out 12,000 men, and I will arise and pursue after David this night. It says, and I will come upon him while he is weary and weak handed, and will make him afraid. And all the people that are with him shall flee, and I will smite the king only. It says, and I will bring back all the people unto thee. The man whom thou seekest is as if all returned. So all the people shall be in peace. Now, I'll read verse 4 and I'll say something. It says, and the saying pleased Absalom well and all the elders of Israel. So Ahithophel knew that, David was probably, tired, hungry, whatever the case is, because he was chilling. He didn't really have any time to prepare. There was a reason why Absalom went straight from Hebron when he got crowned king, and then boom, he went out straight to pretty much to Jerusalem, like the next, within a very short period. Okay. It didn't give David any time to prepare. Okay. And so he was out there in the wilderness, and Ahithophel knew that David was just, he just kind of trying to figure out what to do, right? And so this was the counsel that Ahithophel gave. And it says in verse 2, and I will come upon him while he is weary and weak handed. Because when you're not eating and you don't have any, victuals, I mean, a couple people came and gave him some stuff, right? But I mean, he didn't really have too much time to prepare, all right, for this situation. And it
He was
was,
put in a position to where he had to trust in the Lord.
mm-hmm,
You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't just him. He had a group of people. He had people with him. You
mm-hmm,
see, and that's one thing about it. Is not David the shepherd? Is it not David that need to? Is it not David that need to keep the sheep in line?
mm-hmm,
You know what I'm saying? This is another situation to where he was in dire straits, but still had to care for the flock.
mm-hmm.
Let that sink in. You know, I will say, here it is. Here it is. He being punished for what he did. His sons acting a fool. His house falling apart. He had his own problems. Let
Mm-hmm.
alone keep they in the wilderness again. Don't it
Right.
kind of sound like Moses when it was? You see what I'm saying? You see the
Yeah.
similarities?
Kind
Let
of.
that sink in. Those that have ears to hear. Go
Yep.
ahead.
I gotta get this precept real quick. um, in Exodus 17. All right. Just because you were talking about the wilderness, this is Exodus 17, and I'll start at verse uh, I'll start at verse 8. Okay, it says, "Then came Amalek and fought with Israel in Rephidim, and Moses said unto Joshua, Choose us out men and go out and fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of the Most High in my hand."
Mm-hmm.
See, and it says, "So did as Moses, so did Joshua, as Moses said unto him, and fought with Amalek. And Moses and Aaron and Hur went up on the top of the hill." Okay, but we were weary. You know what I mean? We wasn't like really ready. Like it says they came up on us. You see what I'm saying? Like it says Amalek came up on Israel and fought with us. Fought against us. And it talks about how Israel was weary during that time. Um, Let me get this Deuteronomy 25, and it talks about, yeah, verse 17, Deuteronomy 25 and 17. It says, "Remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way when you were come forth out of Egypt." See, Amalek, which is a tribe of Esau, saw Israel, out in the wilderness and tried to take advantage, right? It says, "Remember how he met thee by the way and smote the hindmost of thee, even all that were feeble behind thee, when thou was faint and weary, and feared not the Most High." You see that?
Man.
So, Amalek, he's a sleazy, slimy, sneaky. He'll come and he'll kill the. He's like like a lion, trying to hunt a pack of buffaloes or something. They'll go for the older one or the younger one, or one that's sick, or the one that's maybe a little injured. It says smiting those that were feeble in the back of the congregation, like the ones that's the slowest, picking off the weakest link. And that's the same you know uh tactic, I'll say, that Ahithophel is giving, essentially because he knew that David, now was the time to strike. Okay, David was in that position of being feeble and weak-handed, like it says right here. Right? It
Mm-hmm.
says, "I will come upon him while he is weary and weak-handed." It says, "And will make him afraid." You see? And so Ahithophel knew what he was doing, man. Okay, and that's why it says the saying pleased Absalom well, because basically Ahithophel was counseling Absalom to move with swiftness. Okay, before he has time to organize, before David had time to organize himself. So overall, it was good counsel, right? And it says in verse 5, "Then said Absalom, Call now Hushai the Archite also, uh, and let us hear likewise what he said." Now, remember, I believe this was last chapter. It talked about how Hushai became affiliated with let me see here, with Absalom. Yeah, you see, in the previous chapter, it talks about how Hushai came in 2 Samuel 16 and 16, right? He came and said he was flattering Absalom, saying, "Hey, God save the king, God save the king," right? And Hushai was like, "Nah, I'm loyal to you, and I'm loyal to you. You were servant of the Lord, Absalom. I'm loyal to Israel. I'm loyal to you, right? I served your father. I was loyal to your father. I'm gonna be loyal to you." Right? But all the while, that was I'll say,
Equalization.
yes, yeah, it was a ploy. It was a ploy for Absalom to believe, for Absalom to believe Hushai, okay, and basically, that it worked, because even when you go back, I think chapter 15, there was that conversation between Hushai and King David. Because Hushai wanted to join David. He was like, "Look, man, I want to go out in the wilderness with you, man. I don't know what your son got." He was loyal. He was being sincere. Hushai, talking about Hushai, but David was like, "You know what, Hushai, if you really want to help me, bro, you could go and pretty much tell me what's going on in the city, and Hushai agreed to that. So fast forward into where we at now. Okay, just kind of give a synopsis because it is a continuation of
Right.
events. Now, right, you got 2 Samuel 17:5. Absalom said to Hushai, um, it says, "Call now Hushai, the Archite, also, and let us hear likewise what he said." Right. So, because again, Absalom is, he pretty much believes that Hushai is on his side. So it says in verse 6, and when Hushai was come to Absalom, Absalom spake unto him, saying, Ahithophel has spoken after this manner. What shall we do after his saying? Or excuse me, shall we do after his saying? If not, speak thou. So basically, uh, Absalom said to Hushai, like, this is what Ahithophel counseled us to do. What you think? What do you think we should do? Do you agree? We think it's a good idea. What do you think we should do? Right? And if you don't think it's a good idea, then tell us what you think that we should do instead. And
Mm-hmm.
it says, actually, let me see if there's something on this. Okay, I'm gonna read what Hushai says, and then we'll go to the commentary.
God.
This is 2 Samuel 17 and verse 7. And Hushai said unto Absalom, the counsel that Ahithophel hath given is not good at this time. So Hushai basically disagreed. Okay, but it's going to go into it more. It says, For said Hushai, thou knowest that thy father and his men, that they be mighty men, and they be chafed in their minds, as a bear robbed of her whelps in the field. And thy father is a man of war, and will not lodge with the people. Right. And for edification, we can get that word chafed real quick. Uh, so this is Hushai's counsel. Okay, that word is Strong's H4751, mar. Okay, which means let's see here, bitter, um, of water or food, bitter of pain. Let's see here, figuratively, bitter. Let's see, angry. All right.
They was on edge like a motherfucker.
Yeah, chafed,
And you
discontent.
like, bro, your pop's a man of war, bro. That's a terrible idea, bro. Your pop's a man of war. Him and his
Mm-hmm.
men after they pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
I,
Yep.
I, I, I don't think that's wise.
Mm-hmm.
They was chafed. All that's what I'm saying. A bunch of chafed mighty men
Yeah.
headed by the king. You sure
Yeah.
about this, bro?
Yeah. That's this is what I was looking for here. It says bitter of feeling, temper. Okay. Uh a fierce men of temper, you know, like a bear
Mm-hmm.
robbed of whelps, like basically like a bear, a mother bear trying to protect her baby bear, what I'm saying, her baby cub.
Good. But y'all say, you know how a bird got his prey and it's eating, and
Mm-hmm.
then you come and just snatch the food away from the bird.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he finna be hot. He
Mm-hmm.
finna be hot, and birds will chase you.
Oh
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? So yeah, you about to run up. You about to run up on a buzzsaw, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they were like, so Hushai, he was painting that picture. He was like, man, look, you think this is gonna be some easy shit if you want to, you know, right? It says, behold, right? Oh, actually, I'll read the middle of verse 8 again. It says, and thy father is a man of war and will not lodge with the people. So he's saying, look, your dad already knows what you're trying to do. Like, he already knows you're coming for him. He ain't even gonna be with the people. You find them, he ain't even gonna be there. He gonna be solo, and then when he hear the commotion, then he gonna go off on his own.
He gonna make you work for it.
Yeah, that, this is what Hushai is saying, right? So he
Yep.
paints a picture in their minds, and we're gonna finish the council here. It says, verse 9. It says, Behold, he is hid now in some pit or in some other place. And it will come to pass when some of them be overthrown at the first, that whosoever heareth it will say, there is a slaughter among the people that follow Absalom, right? And basically he's saying, look, if you try to go in and go in amongst the camp, they're gonna fight against you. They're not gonna go down easily. They're gonna start to like a bee trying to protect the queen, a bee, beehive trying to protect, like they're gonna fight. Or ant pile. You step on an ant pile, them niggas ain't gonna just move peaceably. They're gonna attack, right? And it says that whenever y'all go into the camp, the people are gonna say, "Yo, hey, they're fighting," and then basically, it says in verse 10, and he also that is valiant, whose heart is as the heart of a lion, shall utterly melt. Right. So what Hushai was saying. Basically, he was telling them, you gonna have to, go aggressively, right? You're gonna have to overthrow them. You see? And it says, and he also that is valiant, whose heart is as the heart of a lion, shall utterly melt. For all Israel knoweth that thy father is a mighty man, and they which be with him are valiant men. Okay. It says in verse 11, therefore I counsel that all Israel be generally gathered unto thee, from Dan even to Beersheba. Okay. And when you see this, from Dan even to Beersheba, that basically mean from the north all the way to the top to the south. You're gonna have to gather a huge army, right? It says, as the sand that is by the sea for multitude, and that thou go to battle in thine own person. Yeah, because again, Ahithophel, he just chose out 12,000 men. You know what I mean? Which was probably enough. You know what I'm saying? They would have outnumbered them, but Hushai is saying, nah, you need more, bro. You need way more, and we're gonna have to take all of them out, right?
Yep. I'll be right. I can
Okay.
still hear you.
Okay, kind. So it says in verse 11 again, it says, as the sand that is by the sea for multitude, and that thou go to battle in thine own person. So he's saying, look, you're gonna have to go and lead the charge, right? It says, so shall we come upon him in some place where he shall be found, and we will light upon him as the dew falleth on the ground. Yeah, so he's saying, look, we're gonna go in, we're gonna have to be super, super deep, and we're just gonna have to just comb through the land. We can't send no small, unit, right? We can't send no small unit to scour through the land and try to find them. We're gonna have to just comb through all of it with a big multitude of men, and whoever finds them, since he's gonna be by himself most likely or with a small group, right? We're gonna have to, overtake him, outnumber him, right? And it says, and of him and of all the men that are with him, that are with him, there shall not be left so much as one. It says, verse 13, moreover, if he be gotten into a city, then shall all Israel bring ropes to that city, and we will draw it into the river until there be not one small stone found there. So Hushai is, playing the role of, somebody that's completely against David and is willing to, take David out at all costs, right? And saying, look, even if he fled into a city for refuge with walls and everything, look, we're gonna take that city down. What they're gonna have to go down with him. You see what I'm saying? And all right, I'm gonna read this verse and then I'm gonna go to the commentary in verse
So
14.
this some Game of Thrones type stuff before Game of Thrones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we'd be, all into them type of movies. But yo, man, this is all come on, this is detailed. I was gonna make
That's another thing that show you that they ain't the people, man.
Yeah.
You would think that if they were the chosen people, that they would make more movies about their forefathers and their foremothers instead of trying to get everybody convinced that you can control Superman and and all these characters.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You'll be like, forget about Superman. You'll be like, no, no, no. We those people in the Bible. We was the one flying around. We was the one that's mighty and doing all these things. You never heard nothing.
Yep.
You never heard nothing. They don't glorify the Israelites because they're not the Israelites. Go ahead.
Yep. Yep. It says, was that in Psalms 50, Psalms 55 or Psalms 51? Thou thoughtest thou was altogether such an one as thyself. You know, the Most High is not on these people's side, man. You see? So continuing on in 2 Samuel 17 and 14, it says, and Absalom and all the men of Israel said, the counsel of Hushai the Archite is better than the counsel of Ahithophel. For the Lord, Yahweh Shai, had appointed to defeat the good counsel of Ahithophel to the intent that the Lord might bring evil upon Absalom.
Ooh.
So the Bible tells you, look, hey, these men were convinced that Hushai's counsel was better because even though it wasn't, even though Ahithophel, it says what? This is a good counsel that Ahithophel gave. You see what I'm saying? It would have. So who's to say that it probably would have worked? You know what I'm saying? If the Lord wasn't dealing, if the Lord didn't intervene, right? But remember, Hushai was there for a reason, okay? And that's the reason why Hushai was there, was to give this counsel to change everybody's mind and basically make Absalom, basically make him go out into battle so that he can be put to death. Because if you remember how he died, he wasn't even supposed to be involved. Brothers that already know the story, we all know that Absalom died. And, in case you didn't know, sorry to, what they say, spill the beans or whatever. But yeah, spoiler alert. Absalom gets put to death, right? But he wouldn't have, hypothetically, he wouldn't been in that position to where he got put to death if he had followed Ahithophel's counsel.
Now keep in mind, Absalom was cool until what happened with Tamar.
Yeah.
So all these events had to unfold for him to get pissed off at his father and start this series of events that was going to lead to his demise. Okay. Mm-hmm. So like you was talking about earlier, going into the case with Micah and the whole Ramoth Gilead situation. You see, mm-hmm. The Heavenly Father is controlling all these things. So this account right here is letting you know that was a situation that the Lord wanted to happen. Mm-hmm. You see? So if you want to go get that, Micah situation, how it was clearly a council in the heavens that they wanted Absalom to go out. Yep. They wanted him to be destroyed. You see?
Yep, Khan. Yeah, you talking about 1 Kings chapter 22 with Ahab?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me go.
This was predestinated. This was predestinated to happen.
Right.
Okay. And when the Lord predestines something, He moves pieces around for His will to be fulfilled. Mm-hmm. You see? I can't think of the word right now that goes into that when you look into the definition, but it literally says the Lord does things for His will to play out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Hey, well, we read it in 1 Samuel chapter 2 and 7. The Lord killeth and maketh alive. He bring it down to the pit and raise them up. So mm-hmm. He can put anybody in whatever. Another scripture was that Proverbs 16. King's heart is in the hand of the Lord. Mm-hmm. Or is that? Let me see. Okay, here we go. Yeah, Proverbs 16 and 1. Preparations of the heart and man, and the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. You see, so the Lord put the spirit on Hushai to, because you got to think about it from his situation, from Hushai, he coming against the counsel of somebody that it said in what was that? 2 Samuel chapter 15. It says that Ahithophel's counsel was like taking counsel from the mouth of the Most High himself. Everybody knew that Ahithophel was the top counselor because he was David's counselor. So he was being brave and having faith just on even just going against the counsel of Ahithophel. You see what I'm saying? And that was from the Lord too. So let's go back to this. Let's go to this precept here. Okay, this is going into some history, which this is later on in the timeline chronologically, but it's a good precept to get because it talks about how counsel can be used against you. Excuse me. It says Second Kings chapter 22 and verse 1. It says in the title, Ahab's third campaign against Aram. So Ahab was the king of Judah at that time, and then Aram is the Syrians. Okay, so it says they continued 3 years without war between Syria and Israel, and it came to pass in the third year that Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, came down to the king of Israel. Oh, maybe it was Ahab. Hold on, Ahab, to the king of Judah. Okay, I know that Ahab was the king too. So let's
Okay, you in First Kings
yeah. First Kings 22, I think is the point, right?
around 28. Yeah, it's in the 20s.
Yeah, it's lying spirit. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So okay. Okay, so maybe Ahab. Okay, so I wonder was Ahab. I'm gonna have to look and see if maybe he was a Northern Kingdom king. I thought he was Southern Kingdom, but either way, it says Second Kings 22 and 19. Um, it says he said, "Therefore, hear the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the hosts of heaven standing by him on his right hand and on his left."
That's what I'm saying. You got the righteous angels on the right. You see, you got the evil angels on the left. Yahweh Shai heading up the angels on the right hand. You see, he's heading up. Satan is heading up on the left hand side. You see, because it's order in the heavens.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and the Lord let the angels know what He wanted done, and then you're gonna continue to read.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. It says in verse 20, it says, verse 20, it says, "And the Lord Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, said, Who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one said,
Persuade. Who shall
mm-hmm,
persuade Ahab? You
mm-hmm,
see, he talking to the angels in the heavens, dictating what's going on the earth.
mm-hmm.
You see, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. And clarification, Ahab was the king of Israel. He was the king of the northern kingdom. All right. So going on, it says in the middle of verse 20, and said on this manner, and one said on this manner, and another said on that manner. Okay, so you got angels answering the Lord, saying, okay, who's gonna go up and persuade Ahab so that he can get put to death, right? And it says in verse 21, and there came forth a spirit and stood before the Lord and said, I will persuade him. And the
Look
Lord
up that
Yahweh,
word. Look up that word spirit. And
okay.
there came forth a spirit.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that word spirit, Strong's H7307, Racha. It says wind, breath, mind, spirit. Let's see here. Let's see, spirit, um, and animation, vivacity, vigor. Let's
Go
see
down
here.
some more.
Yep,
Yeah.
prophetic spirit, spirit as of the seed of emotion, spirit, a gift preserved by the Most High. Let me see here. Spirit, a seat of organ or mental acts. Let me see. Spirit of the Most High. Okay. Spirit of prophecy, and as an impelling prophet to utter instruction or warning. It says
Mm-hmm.
imparting warlike energy and executive and administrative power. Let me see here. It says as endowing men with various gifts. Um, yeah. So, but let me go to the Strong's scripture, to the scripture index, excuse me, and see what that specific instance is talking about. First Kings 22, 21. It says, inciting to deeds of frenzy. Yeah. Okay. So it says a spirit that incites, a spirit of the Most High, inciting to deeds of frenzy in the ecstatic state. It says that's pretty much the one. You know what I'm
See,
saying?
the Lord will put an angel. The Lord will put an angel up to jumping on somebody to make them do certain things.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yep.
Says who had resisted his will. The reason why you can't resist the will of the Heavenly Father is because he's totally in control.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I
Mm-hmm.
want to say somewhere in the definition it says something about spirits and bodies, or in the spirit of man, or something like that. But we can keep on going.
Yeah, yeah, because basically he had prophets. Ahab had prophets of Baal. He had prophet. He had, they weren't prophets of the Lord. They were false prophets. So, you know, these when these false prophets would prophesy, they would, kind of, if you want a reference, you can go watch like a Christian pastor, jumping up and down. You know how they get ecstatic, like it says here, right here, inciting deeds of frenzy in an ecstatic state. Like you get all, excited and all exuberant, and you start proclaiming all these wonderful, quote unquote, wonderful things, not necessarily in a good way. When I say wonderful, you start, hearing things that you want to hear, right, from these prophets. That was the spirit that was hopping on, these prophets that Ahab had, right?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing going on with Esau. You know what I'm saying? You got wicked angels telling the man, you got this. That's a great idea. It's an awesome idea to try to chip everybody.
Hmm.
You got
Right.
this, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Can't nobody come up against your sword, man. You got this, baby. And
Right.
he like, hell yeah, fuck that shit. Yeah, I do got this.
Hmm.
Go ahead.
Right. Yep. So it says in verse 22, and the Lord said unto him, wherewith? So this is the Most High talking to the spirit that said he's going to go up and persuade Ahab, right? It says, and he said, I will go forth and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. Okay. It says, and he said, thou shalt persuade him and prevail also. Go forth and do so. You see?
Handle
So
that.
yeah. So all right, he was like, all right, you know what? That's a good idea. The Most High already knew what was going to happen anyway, but just the whole depiction of this thing, right? Being told to uh who was this? Uh Jehoshaphat, okay? It says that the Most High said that it was a good idea. You're going to go forth and you're going to do so, okay? And so it says, now therefore, behold, the Lord hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these thy prophets, and the Lord hath spoken evil concerning thee. Okay, so yeah, this is Ahab. So actually, yeah, so it was Ahab that was being told exactly what was going to happen. Okay, and ended up happening. Okay, and goes further into it and says that you know one of Ahab's servants went and smote Micah in the cheek, and basically was like, okay, how dare you prophesy evil against against us?
And that's the thing. We brought that out. We brought that out to show that the Lord wanted Absalom to get jacked up, so he moved pieces to where he could get jacked up. You
Hmm.
know, it's even. I was saying, matter of fact, the Lord even did it with King David with the whole number in Israel situation. You see, the Lord was so mad at Israel that he sent Satan on King David to number Israel just so he can kill him. You know what I'm
Con.
saying? 'Cause when King David numbered Israel and he wasn't supposed to, you know what I'm saying? The number that they brought to him was just enough for the Lord to do what he wanted to do from that point. Because he jacked up a lot of Israelites from that point. You see? So he had Satan jump on David and had David number in Israel. David knew that was out of pocket. It didn't even tell you that soon as David got the number, the Satan left him, and then he was like, "Oh shit," you know what I'm saying?
Con.
So even King David was subject to those evil angels. You
Yep.
see,
Yep.
the Lord wanted to jack up Israel. That's how he did it.
Con.
Go
Con.
ahead.
Yep. So that was the point on that. First Kings. Now let's get a little bit of the commentary real quick. This is Bridgeway Bible commentary on 2 Samuel 17. It says Ahithophel advised Absalom that he needed to do only one thing to make his throne secure, and that was kill David. All right. So he was like, look, all you got to do, Absalom, just kill David, and everything else is going to fall in place. It says, if he did this swiftly, without war or unnecessary bloodshed, the people would soon be fully behind him. Yeah, no. So um, that was the good counsel that Ahithophel gave. Okay, and it says Hushai, wishing to gain time for David to escape and organize his troops, advised against such a risky operation. So what's that word? You have uh, counter intel. What's that military term?
Yeah,
Counter.
that's it.
That's what it's
Intelligent.
called. Yeah,
Yeah,
counter
intelligence.
because you have intelligence, which is now information on your enemy, and then you have counterintelligence, which is when you're going in and putting misinformation about your enemy, right? Kind of like a double agent. You know what I'm saying? Like Hushai was basically being like a, you know, uh,
He
um,
was undercover.
undercover agent. You know what I'm saying? In a righteousness,
Yep.
the Lord was with David anyway. So, but he was putting that counterintelligence out there, right? So it says, he advised against such a risky operation, for David was a very experienced soldier. So he used some truth to kind of change Absalom's mind. It says he recommended that the whole Israelite army be assembled and Absalom himself lead them into battle. And it says being as vain and as ambitious as he was, Absalom liked this idea and accepted Hushai's advice. Um, it says, so Absalom was, he had demons on him. He was like, man, Absalom was a vain man. He's like, man, you know what? It's a good idea. I'm gonna get, all this glory. Everybody's gonna know that I'm Absalom, the king of Israel. Everybody. So he was like, you know what? Damn, that's so the demons kicked in on Absalom's head. It was like, you know what? This is a good idea, right? And so let's continue on here in 2 Samuel. Okay. And remember, if you go back to 2 Samuel 15, basically there was two priests that stayed in the city, okay, and each of them had a son, and basically both of their sons were the ones that would go out in and out in the city and go and tell David what was going on, right? And so it says in verse 15, then said Hushai unto Zadok and Abiathar the priests, thus and thus did Ahithophel counsel Absalom and the elders of Israel, and thus have I counseled. So basically, Hushai told Zadok and Abiathar the priests what happened. So this was in private. He took them to the side because remember nobody knew that Hushai was um, really trying to help King David. Okay, so he had to do this secretly and counsel, uh, right? And it says, verse 16, now therefore send quickly and tell David, saying, lodge not this night in the plains of the wilderness, but speedily pass over, lest the king be swallowed up and all the people that are with him. So, Hushai was like, look, I can't leave the city, saying they're gonna know that I was, that I'm scheming. So go
Right.
and send your sons, right? And tell David, go tell David to go out of the plains of the wilderness. Because I don't know if I had that map pulled up, but we were looking at kind of okay. Let's see if I have a better one. Um, Yeah, this one's okay. So I thought I had a better map, but Jerusalem's right here, and then you got the Jordan River here, right? So Jerusalem, is basically, it's travelable. You can travel there. You know what I'm saying? In a few days, you could travel from Jerusalem to the Jordan River. This is another picture here, of how far Jerusalem is from the Jordan River, and it's not like super super far. Maybe let me see, less than, I say maybe like 20 to 25 miles, maybe like 25 miles away. You can travel 25 miles in a few days on foot. You know what I'm saying? If you're actually walking. Um, and so David probably was outside of. He might have been halfway there. He was probably somewhere close to Jericho or something. And basically, what Hushai said was, look, hey, go tell David, cross over the Jordan River, because you're not going to be safe. It's going to be a big army being gathered. You need to get up out of here, right? So just to
Yeah.
show that depiction.
Yeah.
So going back, right? It says, and that's what it means when it says pass over the river. Everybody knew that the Jordan River at that time, that the Jordan River was the big, like, that was the main river. You know what I'm saying? In Israel, and so that's what it means when it says pass over. They're saying, like, pass over the river. Okay, and it says in verse 17, now Jonathan and Ahimaaz stayed by En Rogel, for they might not be seen to come into the city. So let's look up En Rogel and see where it is in correlation to Jerusalem and Jericho real quick. And by the way, Jonathan and Ahimaaz, these were the sons of what was it, Zadok and Abiathar, right? So where we at here? En Rogel. All right. That word here is Strong's H5883, Ayan Ragal. Ayan means eye or fountain, and then Ragal, I think, is foot.
But
If I'm not mistaken, yeah. So you could put two and two together. It says fountain of the fuller, place near Jerusalem, on the border between Judah and Benjamin, and from the which the permanent source of the pool of Siloam comes. Okay, it says also here down at the bottom, fountain of a traveler. Okay, it says a place near Jerusalem. So it was not in Jerusalem, but it was close enough to Jerusalem, right? This map doesn't show exactly where it was at, but it was close enough to Jerusalem to where somebody could go out from Jerusalem and get to En Rogel in a relatively short period of time. All right, so going back here, all right, where it says they were not seen. It says they might not be seen to come into the city. Basically means that if they were seen going in and out of the city, saying, they would have kind of been questioned, like, yo, what are y'all doing, right? So it says, now Jonathan and Ahimaaz stayed by En Rogel, for they might not be seen to come into the city. And a wench went and told them, and they went and told King David. So they sent a woman, you know what I mean, to go from Jerusalem to En Rogel, which was, again, a close nearby settlement near Jerusalem. Okay, and then from there, Jonathan and Ahimaaz went from En Rogel, and they went and told King David. So it's kind of like playing telephone. And just wanted to get this word, wench. I believe it's just like a young woman. It's not always talking about, like, a prostitute or something.
right.
Strong's H8198, Shapacha. It says, it's Mashapacha is family, kindred. Okay, so it's kind of like a shortened version of this. It says a handmaid, a maidservant, a bondmaid, right? A slave girl, right? So that's all it really was, a bond woman. Okay.
I would say you got a winch, which is what you just, and then you got a bed winch, which is
Right.
going into the harness.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's more than one. Yeah, just depending on the context.
Yep.
You hear bed once you think prostitute. When you hear wench, you think young damsel or slave girl.
Yep. Yep. So they sent the woman out and the servant girl out, and that's how Jonathan and Ahimaaz received the instruction. So when you go to verse 18, it says, "Nevertheless, a lad saw them." So as basically as Ahimaaz and Jonathan was going out, you know what I'm saying, of the city to go, towards where they knew where David was. It says, nevertheless, a lad saw them and told Absalom,
I'll
but
be right back.
okay, Khan, but they went both of them away quickly and came to a man's house in Bahurim, which had a well in his court, whither they went down. So think about, um, these settlements, and like I said, these couple, cities that are listed here on this map. There's other maps, of course, but I mean, there were way more. There were way more smaller settlements. These are just the larger ones. The ones that we hear about a lot. Beersheba, right? Hebron, Jerusalem, Jericho. Shiloh, Jezreel. These are the bigger ones. There was plenty. There was way more cities and settlements in this. But uh, on the way from what's the name of that city again? Hold on, let me go back here. On the way from um, En Rogel to Bahurim, or on the way from En Rogel out to David, there was a man that saw them, and he was loyal to Absalom, so he went and 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 basically snitched on them, right? And they got away. Jonathan and Ahimaaz, they knew that they was going to have troops, go out and look for them. So what they did was they went, and it says they came to a man's house in Bahurim. Now let's look and see where Bahurim is and get what it means. Okay. All right. This is Strong's H 980 Bacharium as a spirit. All right. Bacharium, um, which, that's the word that we say for the elect, but the root word here is Bachawar, um, which means chosen. Okay, you could say the chosen, but it also means youth or young man. Bachar is really the word for chosen. Chosen, choice, elect, right? Elect or to choose. This is really a verb. Bachar it means to choose or to elect. But when you put it in use it as a noun, you could say bachawar, which is also uh, chosen, right? But in this case, young man. Now again, bahurim or bachar yum is, or you could say bachar wayum. You could also say it like this too. Variant spellings of this word here, bachar wayum. Uh, excuse me, bachawarium. It would be young men's village, or you could also say chosen, chosen village, but the young man's village, right? It says a town in Benjamin between Jerusalem and Jericho, beyond the Mount of Olives, on the way to Jericho. So uh, when you pull up the map again, is a town. It wasn't no big, huge city. It was just one of the small settlements on probably like a road, a main travel road between Jerusalem and Jericho. But it was located in Benjamin, so it might have been somewhere, somewhere in here, somewhere, just a little small settlement, nothing too big. And there was a well, right? When you go back to the verse, um, go back here. It says there was a well, like a water well, like to get water from. Uh, so they came to a man's house in this city, which had a well in his court. Now we used to apartments shit like this, but back then, what we got going on? Okay, okay, yeah, we used to apartments and stuff like this, but stuff like that. But back in the day, we actually had land, so people had courtyards. The entrance to a house or whatever, and this man had a well in his courtyard, and they went down. They fled for their life. Talking about Jonathan and Ahimaaz, they both went down into this well, and basically some random woman came and it says spread a covering over the well's mouth, and it says and so in that way she helped them out, right? It says a woman came and spread a covering over the well's mouth and spread ground corn thereon, and the thing was not known. So nobody knew, what she did. She came and she was like, "Oh, damn, these guys running." The Lord put the spirit on her to go, and lay out a mat and put some corn over it, so that nobody would know or to look underneath there, right? And so it says in verse 20, when Absalom's servants came to the woman to the house, they said, "Where is Ahimaaz and Jonathan?" And the woman said unto them, They be gone over the brook of water. So she was like, "Look, they fled all the way. They went to over across the Jordan River." Okay, so she sent them in the wrong direction. They went all the way. The servants went all the way past, Jericho, okay, to look for them, or whatever brook was in the area, whatever water brook she was talking about. It may not have been the actual river itself, but she sent them in the wrong direction. And it says, and when they had sought and could not find them, they returned to Jerusalem. All right, so she basically kind of helped them out, just like was the uh back in, what was that, Deuteronomy, Rahab the harlot.
Yeah,
That
that's
situation,
what I was thinking.
you know. I guess we don't really have to get it, but the story of Rahab. You know what I'm saying? Rahab was like, "Look, just spare me. I'm gonna lodge you. I'm gonna lodge you guys. Just spare me and my family, and y'all can take the rest. Y'all can take the rest of the city." You know.
Hmm.
And so let's get a little bit more of the commentary real quick. We can go back. All right. So this is a second paragraph here. Um, of this portion, it says, "At the risk of their lives, David's spies took him the news of Absalom's plan." Yeah, because guess what? If Ahimaaz and Jonathan got caught, they would have got put to death for sure. You see,
Yep.
and so they was risking their lives for this information to get to David.
Two,
Uh,
two spies.
Yep, yep. It says, with the result that David and his men quickly escaped across Jordan. Okay, so it didn't really go into it too much, but let's get some more of this detail here. All right. This is continuing on 2 Samuel 17 and 21. It says, "And it came to pass after they were departed," right? Talking about Absalom's men. It says that they came up out of the well. So they were, who knows how long it was posted up in there. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a day, or, at least several hours, I'm sure. Right. And it says, and went and told King David and said unto David, "Arise and pass quickly over the water, for thus hath Ahithophel counseled against you." Okay. Um, and so they got the message to King David, but they had to get uncomfortable. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And it says in verse 22, "Then David arose and all the people that were with him, and they passed over Jordan. By the morning light, there lacked none of them that was gone over Jordan." So going back to this map here, they got the message, to David wherever he was at over here in this area, and all of David's people, including servants, everybody crossed over the Jordan River, which this is the Jordan River right here. All right, and by the morning time, everybody that pertained to David was already crossed over the Jordan River. So that was Lord, delivering him out of that, you know, delivering him out of that situation. All right. So now it's a little bit more, but we're going to continue to read through 2 Samuel 17 and 23. "And when Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, he saddled his ass and arose and got him home to his house, to his city, and put his household in order, and hanged himself and died, and was buried in the sepulchre of his father." So this nigga, Ahithophel was like, "Oh man, damn, they ain't listening to what I got to say no more." He He killed himself. He went out like Judas Iscariot. You see, when you commit suicide like that, you got mass demons on you, man. Because he knew that basically the Lord wasn't with him no more, and he was like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and just kill myself. Now he was already probably an older man. Says he was the father of Bathsheba, but nevertheless, that's a sad.
Grandfather, I think. Yeah, might have been a granddad, dad or granddad.
Yeah, and but nevertheless, that was a terrible legacy to go out. You know, terrible legacy that he left. Right. Uh, so it says then David came to Mahanaim, and Absalom passed over Jordan, he and all the men of Israel with him. See, so Absalom was on his ass. But let's see where Mahanaim is, real quick. Strong's H4266, Machanium, 2 camps. It says a place east of Jordan, named from Jacob's encounter with angels. Woo, man! Wow.
Man,
Okay. Wow. That's huge. I want to see what's on here. Okay. Oh, okay. This is before Jacob and Esau rekindled. You know what I'm saying? Interesting. Wow, that's interesting. I didn't even. That's like a quick little 2 verses right here, but
yep.
I'm gonna just read it. It says, "And Jacob went on his way, and the angels of the Most High met him." It don't say really you know, what happened, but he met, the angels of the Most High, right? So that the Most High, so that Jacob knew that the Most High was with him on his way, back to meet Esau, and he named that place, what was it called? Uh, uh, Machanium, which is 2 camps. Okay, interesting. That's your pot. All right. So anyway, a double camp, right? So anyway, going back here, it says, and again, this was a city east of the Jordan River, and Absalom passed over the Jordan River as well, him and all his men and all the men of Israel with him. So this is a huge, huge army crossing over the Jordan River to find David. So they was on his tail. All right. It says, and Absalom made Amasa the captain of the host instead of Joab, which Amasa was a man's son whose name was Ithra, an Israelite, and that went in to Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, sister to Zeruiah, which was Joab's mother. And it says Israel and Absalom pitched in the land of Gilead. Okay, so he switched because he already knew, like, nah, Joab ain't gonna, he ain't gonna really be down with, what I'm saying? He was like, nah, I'm gonna switch the captain of the host. You know what I mean? I'm his son, but he fought too many wars. He's too loyal to now Joab. He had kind of favoritism towards, because remember, he was the one that went to Joab, went to bat for Absalom, by saying, "Hey, King David, like bring Absalom back." You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But he just was like, "Nah, this is too much conflict of interest. I'm gonna switch the captain of the host to this man Amasa." Right. So Israel and Absalom pitched in the land of Gilead. Okay, it says, and it came to pass, when David was come to Mahanaim, that Shobai, the son of Nahash of Rabbah, of the children of Ammon, and Machir, the son of Amiel of Lodebar, and Barzillai, the Gileadite of Regalim, brought beds and basins and earthen vessels and wheat and barley and flour and parched corn and beans and lentils and parched pulse and honey and butter and sheep and cheese of kine for David and for the people that were with him to eat. For they said, the people is hungry and weary and thirsty in the wilderness. Now, why would these random Ammonites come and help Israel? especially when David was known for putting Moabites, genocide, putting Moabites to death, putting Edomites to death, putting them in bondage. You see, but the Lord put the Spirit on these individuals that met them. What was it, near in Mahanaim, right? The Lord put the Spirit. It says on this man Shobai, which was of the children of Ammon, so he was an Ammonite, and these other individuals to come and bring food and corn, and you know what I'm saying, all different type of victuals and beds, right, so that they can be refreshed, right? And that was all because the Lord was with David, man. You see, what was it says? I'll make even thy enemies to be at peace with thee.
Yep.
You know, it might be in the Apocrypha. Oh no, it's it right here. Proverbs 16:7, right? It says, when a man's ways please the Lord, when a man's ways please Yahweh Shemi Shai, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. So that's a perfect example right there.
Right.
So
I said, keep in mind, they in the wilderness, and the Lord is still blessing them. Right. You see, that's a similar situation to Moses. You know, nothing new under the sun for those that can receive it.
Yep. So let me get this rest of this, and then I mean that was already the end of the chapter. So this is finishing off the commentary here. It says Ahithophel committed suicide. His plotting had brought Absalom to the throne, and he knew that all would be lost if Absalom followed Hushai's advice. So that's why he, you know, jumped off the bridge, so to speak. And good. That's what he deserved, man, because he counseled for first of all, he counseled against the Lord's anointed, but also he counseled for his own son to go into his father's concubines, man. That's wicked.
Yeah. And then told him to kill him after that.
Yeah. You know, so Ahithophel, he turned out to be a demon, man. Okay. It says, now David had gained valuable time to rest his weary men, obtain provisions, and plan his war strategy. So now he was able to bounce back, you see, because if Absalom had taken Ahithophel's counsel, he wouldn't have had time. He was still on the, he wouldn't have really been able to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? He was still on the west side of the Jordan River. You know what I mean? Couldn't run forever. So, you know, he put that distance between them. And that was, you know, it allowed time when we continue on in chapter 18, Lord willing, you know, it'll go into it, but he had time to put that strategy together, you know. Let me see. We've been going for over an hour already. So let me see what we got here. Okay, I'm gonna pull up this precept, GMS Virgin's Island Straight Gate.
Shalom.
Shalom, Yabashim Shabakatah. It says, Jeremiah 15:11, the Lord Yahweh Shemi Shai said, verily it shall be well with thy remnant, the elect, right? Verily, I will cause the enemy to entreat thee well in the time of evil and in the time of affliction. You see? So that's another comforting scripture to let us know, hey, this is according to our history. There have been times where, hey, the Lord may put a spirit on, you know, somebody, even not even of the nation of Israel, to help you out. You see, even against.
Hey, you remember when the apostles was telling us about the whole 9/11 situation? You know what I'm saying? The Lord put the spirit on a lady Amalekite to go to bat for him. You know what I'm saying? And it was because they works was pleasing to the Lord that they made even the enemies, you know what I'm saying, look out for them. The bomb was dropped, you know what I'm saying? All kind of, the Lord was moving all kind of parts, you know, when that situation happens. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that was it on that precept. And that was pretty much, I mean, that scripture that we brought out in Proverbs, you know, that's the main, you know, precept of this chapter, man, because You know, I mean, David could have easily, you know, been met with, you know, individuals that was, you know, using the opportunity to take advantage, you know what I mean, of the fact that David was weak, but the Lord put the Spirit on them to refresh them. You know what I mean? Because this whole time they sleeping outside. They not chilling in the house. You know
Right.
what I mean? And they're on the move with barely no food. So
Yep.
yeah, it was definitely a test of faith. You know.
Yep. When Moses was in the wilderness
Mm-hmm.
with Israel, it was not easy.
Mm-hmm.
When David was in the wilderness during this time with Israel, it was not easy.
Con.
But you notice David and Moses continued to call upon the Lord
Yep.
above anything else, you
Con.
know? And
Con.
that's the same mindset we gotta have. You know, no matter what's going on, we gonna call on the Lord, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Lord willing, we endure to the end. But that's what I'm saying. We got the blueprint for sure.
Right. That's right. So, you know, that's really all I have. Zaquan, did you have any other precepts you wanted?
Nah, I'm good to go. I'm good to go. Yeah, I say I didn't expect it to be that long, but a whole
Yeah.
lot came out. So call halal Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai for that.
Kind, call out Yabashim Yashai. Hey, Lord willing, this is edifying. With that, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, double honor to the apostles and elders, a great millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect. Till next time, Shalom.
Shalom.